Hey guys, so I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across a video of a girl talking about how she almost destroyed her life by her own hands. A story of desperation. So I'm going to be playing this video for you guys to watch. I'm going to watch it together and then make some comments on the video.
Let me give you people gist. 2020, I met this guy. We're doing like some type of long distance relationship. And he came back, engaged me. I was about to get married. And at that time, fresh out of school. Was I? Yeah. No, I wasn't really fresh out of school then, but I was a struggling entrepreneur. I struggled in Nigeria. I was a struggling entrepreneur. In my mind, I was like, it's only marriage that can save me. Let me just go and marry and stay inside husband's house. And when he came back, we got engaged. I was very excited. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm going to get married, Then we're trying to now start getting ready for like marriage, like where we'd live and everything. And I was working in Ikeja then. And I remember I was telling this person, please let's look for a place in Ikeja, so at least to be able to, like, I'll be able to go to work and then go home and all. And then he's like, no, he cannot do Ikeja. He has to go all the way to Igondo. And I'm like, Igondo to Ikeja, how will I be doing commutes? And then he goes to tell me that his sister-in-law that commutes from Igondo to Ikeja, does she have two heads? And if I want to do it, yes. If I want to do it, I should do it. If I don't want to do it, like, basically I had no other choice. And I agreed because I had shown him.
That was the first red flag in my own opinion, because why is a man that has not yet married you, why is he insisting for you to change where you're staying, where you're comfortable? Like, he did not even consider the fact that you're working at Ikeja, but he said he's forcing you to move to Ingando for him. That's the first red flag.
And we're not looking for places in Igondo and all that. He didn't have complete money to pay the rent. I brought out my savings to complete his rent for him. And we got the house.
How are you paying savings? How are you removing money from your savings to rent a house with a man that has not yet gotten married to you? I don't want to be like the miss.
There was no money to furnish.
So judgmental.
I was the one that now had to start scraping money to get her to furnish. This person shamed me for not having so much money to furnish his house. It was my father that got us the Vitafoam mattress that we would put in the couple's room. Like,
your father gave you. Oh my God! Your father bought the mattress that both of you will be sleeping on. The man has not even married you yet.
In our room where we're going to stay. And then for the kitchen, I was like, how are we going to do the kitchen? It's like, oh, it's the woman's duty to furnish her kitchen. It's the woman's duty to furnish her kitchen.
Unrelated, but do you know that in Hausa culture is the woman's job, not the job, is the woman's something that she will furnish the kitchen, she will furnish the house. And I think that's such an interesting culture, because I was like, why do women have to? Because it's quite expensive to furnish the whole house, the kitchen, the sitting room, the TV, bed, mattresses. I was like, that's such, I don't know, that's one thing about the culture I don't really like. But my friends are also now explained to me that, oh, is a way of making a woman have rights in her marriage, because a man cannot tell the woman that, oh yeah, you came into this house, you did not do anything, you did not bring anything to the table, like the pot you're using to cook, am I not the one that bought it down to the bed you're sleeping on? No, it's just something to give the woman mouth to talk. Do you get? I think that's cool.
Say that if I was not going to like furnish the kitchen, we'll be eating from the floor, or he will go somewhere else to go and eat. So I was like, okay, let's go and look for at least where we can buy plates and gas cooker and all those things. So I remember he took me to one popular market around that Igondo side like that. And I remember like we went to one woman's shop and like we're trying to buy some things. I told him this is the amount of money that I have. This man shamed me in front of that woman. He's like, hey, my mates have money. I cannot now have money to buy kitchen things. It's the woman that's supposed to be in the kitchen. It's the woman that's supposed to provide everything in the kitchen, in front of the woman that was selling something. And I remember that I was crying my eyes out. I had to call, I can't remember which of my friend I called to borrow me money. My friend borrowed me money, I paid, we got back. He was like, I still went to the market, bought food stuff, cooked for him to eat. Mind you, we were sleeping on the mattress that my father got and on the ground, because we had no furniture there was no furniture in the house. Then that period, because I was going from Ikeja to there and then to my house where like me and my sisters were staying. At some point I had COVID, because this was shortly after COVID, because I was always inside like public transport, bus. I was always inside bus. And this is something that as a single, like as an unengaged person, I'm the enter boss now. Hey, but I was inside boss. I remember that when I used to go to work, the people that I was working with then knew I was not productive. My boss then was like, Laura, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Is there anything going on with you? I remember one time my boss sent me to Abuja to go and open the Abuja store. This person called me and told me, oh, I'm sleeping with my boss. He wants to talk to my boss. I had to beg my boss to please talk to him so that he would, not think that I'm sleeping with my boss. Do you understand? Because I need to quit. Why would I be working with a man? Why would I be traveling to Abuja with a man? I need to quit. Imagine me quitting a job that was helping him and I. And I had to beg him to talk to my boss then. For my boss to please, tell him that nothing was going on between the both of us, blah, 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 blah. My boss spoke to him. And when we came back to Abuja, I remember my boss called me. L'Oreal, are you sure? I broke down and I cried in front of my boss. I was like, what am I going to do? Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. What am I going to do? I have to manage.
My boss, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to, I don't know how I'm going to go about it because everybody already knew that I was with this person. Everybody already knew, like I told everybody. I'd even told my dad. Although my dad hadn't, met him yet because he didn't want to see my dad at that point for whatever reason best known to him. So my dad was not telling, my dad called me one day, this person that you are already planning to live together. I haven't even spoken to him. He has not asked me for your hand in marriage. I've just heard that, he has engaged you. You need to tell me, tell him so that we can meet and stuff like that. So that's how I went to meet my fiancé. And I told him that, see, my dad wants to talk to you. Like, I was literally begging him to speak to my dad on the phone. I'm like, my dad wants to talk to you. And he now goes, that he doesn't know if we can do the wedding that year. I was like, why? He now said that in where they are from, they want if their wife gives birth first before they get married. And I said, but that's not what you told me before you asked me to marry you. He now said, when did I ask you to marry me? It's like, what do you mean? Like, we've been talking about marriage. He was like, did he propose to me? That he told me that he cannot get on his knees and propose to anybody. That did he buy me ring? And you guys, I will not lie. This guy did not buy me ring. This guy actually told me he was going to marry me. And I asked him that, okay, I was like, out of excitement. Now when he came back, oh, let's get married. I was very happy. I agreed. Then I was like, what about the ring? Do you understand? He told me that I should go and buy ring by myself. That don't I know why they are selling ring? That I should go and buy ring by myself. I went to Yaba to go and buy ring. I don't know, I'll attach the picture in this video. I went to Yaba to go and buy ring, you guys, and I was wearing that ring. So when he now asked me, did I put ring on your finger? And I showed him the ring. He now said, am I not the one that put the ring on my finger? Wait for part 4.
That you're the one that put the ring on your finger by yourself. Like, one would even think that I was going to be offended that when he said that thing, but you guys trust me, I was not offended. I started begging him. I was like, please, based off of the conversation that him and I has had, he said he was going to marry me. Like, we're already furnishing this apartment in Gondo, like, and stuff like that. So he's like, he cannot go to just where my parents lives, right? That my parents should either come to Lagos, maybe go to the village. It's easier for him to go to the village to see my dad. And with things like that, I even called my dad. I started with my dad. Okay, can my dad come to Lagos, or can my dad go to the village? So it's easy for him to see my dad. My dad was like, which kind of thing is this one? Like, is the man that is actually supposed to go to where the father is, regardless of wherever he is, right? So that alone was already making my dad very peaceful because he really loves me. He was like trying to just follow me, doing the nonsense that I was doing. So my dad now suggested, like, okay, since my sister was getting married and then they cut wedding in Lagos, when he comes to Lagos, then he can come and see my dad. Mind you, the traditional wedding that my sister even did, this person didn't even come. The traditional wedding, he was actually even supposed to see my dad there, but he kept on dribbling. Somebody sold his land somewhere. Somebody did, he didn't come. Right? My parents were in Lagos already. My sister's wedding, he wanted to see my dad a day before my sister's wedding. My dad was like, no, like, he has to run around for my sister's wedding. Let him come after my sister's wedding. So I told him, okay, come to my sister's wedding. At least you will see my family people and whatnot. He's like, he cannot come to my sister's wedding because he does not have anything to wear. And I proceeded to go and buy him clothes to wear for my sister's wedding so that he will come for my sister's wedding. I proceeded to buy him the same color of what I was going to wear so that we would look and cool for my sister's wedding. When he came and then we're going together to like the reception part, this person started literally fighting with me. He's like, oh, why did I do makeup on my face? Why did I do my nails? He does not like his women that does makeup and does nails. And I said, this is my sister's wedding. There's no how I'm not going to do. He said, no. He cannot be with anybody that does makeup and does nails. I need to remove it. So in my mind, I'm like, if I don't stand my ground on this makeup and no nails something, this person is going to keep on doing this thing to me inside marriage. And I told him there's no how I'm going to remove makeup, nails that I literally fixed a day before and makeup for my sister's wedding. Into the reception, he wasn't talking to me. He was upset with me. He was sitting in one place. Everybody was like, everybody when he asked, I said, this is my fiancé. I was like, this is my fiancé. What's wrong with him? I said, no, he's just that. Excuses upon excuses. So after the wedding, 2 days after was when he was supposed to see my dad. So my mom calls me on the phone to tell me that, hope you know that this person that is coming to see your dad has to bring drink so that he can say his intentions, right? And I said, he's keyboard and he's supposed to. My mom was like, call him, because apparently I think everybody saw some things that I wasn't saying. He's like, call him and let him know that this is what he's supposed to do and it has to be the drink that your dad likes. And I told him, I was like, you need to bring drink when you're coming to see my father. And the drink my dad drinks is Hennessy VSOP. He goes, no, he cannot afford Hennessy VSOP. Why would an old man be drinking Hennessy VSOP? That
that he cannot afford it. So I think he went to, is it Jandor or so? I think it's one of those supermarkets in Igondo, and he was looking for the drink. He said he wanted to get regular. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the drinks. It's just the principle behind it. And I was like, I would not watch you buy regular that I know my father would never drink, and you're going to see my dad. So I proceeded to send him money to buy Hennessy VSOP for my dad. There will be part 5. I wasn't actually there because I was at work, and my dad, they exchanged pleasantries, took the drink, and my dad started asking him, questions and all that. I think at that time, because a lot of people have been asking me, I think I was about 25 years old then, asked him how long we met, and he told him how long we've been speaking, and he came back solely in the intentions of getting married to me. So my dad asked him when he was going to go back, because he wasn't staying in Nigeria. My dad asked him when he was going to go back. He said he's working on going back. I think then he wanted to go to the UK. So my dad asked him when he eventually goes to the UK, what would happen with me if he wants to get married to me this year, right? What will happen? He's like, he doesn't think it's wise for women to come abroad. He thinks that it's only men that would come abroad, that he would be sending me money to either establish the business that I had in Nigeria, because I was a fashion designer also working in other people's factories, so to establish the business I had in Nigeria, or maybe do something else, right? But he doesn't think it's wise that he would take me abroad once he marries me. So because I was not there, and this was what my mom told me. My mom said immediately he said that, my dad stood up and he left the living room area and left him there. My uncles were there because they all came for my sister's wedding, so my uncles, like my kinsmen, were actually there. So all of them stood up and left him there, and he was seated with my mom and some of my aunties. So I remember that he texted me on the phone, and then he goes, your dad is very rude. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, can you imagine your dad just left me seated here, and he went outside, and I was still at work, so I was not mad. I'm like, why doesn't he want me to get married? Like, that's how mad I was. I was like, this is the person that I love, I want to get married to him. I don't bloody care, I must get married to this guy. So I left work quickly that day, and I went home. I told him to come downstairs to come with me so I could actually find out what was going on. And I asked him, I was like, what happened? Like, he's like, no, like, he's very insulted that my father just stood up and left. Like, he didn't really, he was like, my father does not want me to marry him. That's why are we doing like as if we have so much money, that kind of thing. And I was like, don't worry, I'm going to marry you. He says, the way he was asking that guy, he was like, in 2 days or 3 days, let's go to Ikoiko's house and get married. And I was like, don't worry, I'm going to go and marry you. He left. I went upstairs, and I was not mad at my mom. I was like, what is the meaning of this? Like, why would you people treat him in such a bad manner? That's it because he does not have money, blah, 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 blah. That's why I want to marry. That why would daddy leave him in the parlor and just go? My mom was not saying anything. My mom was just crying. Everybody, like, when somebody dies, that's how my apartment was that day when he came to come and see my family. I'm so sorry, guys, but there has to be a part. And I saw my dad, because my dad and I were very close. I love my dad so much. I love my dad so much. And I saw my dad and I asked him, I was like, okay, dad, what do you think? You've met this man, what do you think? And my father looked me dead in my eyes, and he was like, Laurel, is this what you want for yourself? He goes, I don't want to cry. Goes because like he doesn't really understand, right? And to be honest, at that point, I'm only saying this now, but at that point I didn't care. I was telling him, I was like, I don't care, I'm going to marry this person I love, and this person I'm going to get married to, right? So my father was like, okay, I can do whatever it is that I want to do. My mom was also there on the bed, so my mom wasn't saying, my mom was so weak, she wasn't saying anything. She was like, I can do whatever I want to do. That, I mean, life is in my hands, right? Only just guide and protect me, but if this is what I said I want to do, that he doesn't want to be in a situation whereby he would tell me who to marry or who not to marry. But if this is what I'm going to do or I want to do, then I should tell him to do it the proper way, right? So he's going to get the list from my kinsman, and he's going to give it to me to give him the list, let him come and do it properly, right? So me, I was actually very happy. I'm like, do you know what? I've gotten what I wanted, right? That's what I want to marry this person. So I tell the person, I'm like, this is what my dad has said though. They're going to get the list, how are we going to proceed and all that. So we proceeded to send the list to the person, to my fiancé. We proceeded to send him the list, and he calls me. I remember like a few days after, I think he was in the village then. So I remember like a few days after he calls me, and I remember because I was at work and I was with a friend, a colleague of mine that has done a very beautiful sister. So he calls me and he just starts screaming on the phone. So with the fear, I put the phone on loudspeaker, and my colleague, she was looking at me. She's like, what's going on? And he's like, that he has seen the list though. He kind of made it seem like the list was a lot. That is that what they paid for my sister's wedding? That my father self no try kinda. That shaping my father is supposed to call him. That he's not all there yet. And being that my dad has money, that there's some kind of things that they are supposed to arrange. That some fathers will speak to their son-in-law and tell their son-in-law that since you want to marry my daughter, let me open this business for you, let me do this thing for you. Directly, he was trying to say that it was my dad that was supposed to set him up since I wanted to marry him, and that he's not going to do that list, and I should not have it in my head that we're going to do an exorbitant wedding, that is just going to be in the parlor. He will come, give what he can give, and I marry him and we leave that day. Basically, it was going to be a parlor wedding. And my friend was there. My friend was looking at me, and I hung up. That period, I was so stressed. I remember that a friend of mine, my very good friend, called me during this period, and she calls me and she's like, she had a terrible dream about this my fiancé. And I asked her what was the dream about, and she goes, it was a place we were staying before, because that my friend was my neighbor then. So he came to the apartment of where we were staying before, and she saw him, and she goes, why are you here? And then he goes, oh, I'm here to collect my property. And she was like, where's your property? Laurel, I'm here to collect my property. I'm here to collect Laurel. And she's like, no, Laurel is not going anywhere with you, right? So she was in the house. She was in my house, and he was outside. So he was not screaming. According to what she said, she was screaming. Where's Laurel? Where's Laurel? I'm here to collect my property. Where's Laurel? And then she goes, no, you're not going to collect, like, you're not going to, like, in the dream anyways. So she calls me and she was telling me that she doesn't think I should marry this guy. And trust me,
I fought her. I was like, why would you tell me not to marry him? You're only jealous because you're not engaged yet. You're only jealous because nobody. And I was like, don't give me any nonsense advice. And that was how I didn't talk to her during that period. Why was it becoming so difficult for me to be with this guy, right? And the period that he was in the village, I would be calling him, he's not picking up my call. I would be, trying to text him, he's not responding and stuff like that. There was a time I actually called him and another woman picked the call. And when I asked him, who is this person that picked your call? He said, oh, it's one of his cousins. The cousin is in his house in the village, trying to help him sort out the house in the village. All those things. And I was like, okay, I didn't care. I didn't even want to question anything, right? And that period, my grandma was very, very ill that period, and my dad too was in the village. So my dad was trying to tell me, let me know what this person is doing now that I'm in the village. If you guys want to do parlor wedding, anything you want to do, just let me know. Let me sort it out now, that kind of thing. Remember something? I just remembered it right now. When that whole thing was happening, I was about to sleep one day. I was about to sleep one day, and I remember I begged God. I know my grandmother was really old, and I look like my grandmother. And I haven't said this part to anybody, but I remember I begged God that, God, if you truly do not want me to marry this man, let my grandmother die. Because you cannot do a wedding if you're going to do a burial. You have to do a burial first before you do a wedding, right? So I was like, let this just happen. And I feel so bad. I feel so bad for saying it out loud, but in my mind, that was the only way I could have put a pause on what was going on at that time. And that night I slept and I dreamt. And you guys, I slept and I dreamt of my grandmother. Because my grandmother and I are very close. I look like my grandmother. My grandmother and I are close. Me and my dad are very close. The three of us look alike. In that dream, she was looking so beautiful. She looked exactly like me. She's like, I should make her food. And she was speaking in English. And anybody that knows all Igbo women that are aged, they don't really know how to speak English. So in the dream, she was speaking English. And she was telling me, oh, I look so beautiful this morning. And I was also telling her, you look so beautiful this morning, mama. So she said she wants to eat, that I should go to the kitchen and cook for her. I went to the kitchen and I cooked for her. And I brought it and I gave her. There's a place compound in my village compound where my grandmother always sits. So I went there and I gave her the food and she ate. And she held me on my face like this. And she was like, Laura, you're going to be very blessed. You're going to be very blessed. You're going to be very... That's what she said it 3 times. You're going to be very blessed. Don't worry about anything. You're going to be very blessed. And I had a very good sleep that night. Usually when I'm sleeping, I'm having heart palpitations. I'm always anxious. Sure, I still people, I was stressed. And I had a very beautiful sleep that night. And when I woke up, I called my mom. I was like, mommy, I dreamt of Mama. Is she okay? My mom now was like, yeah, she's okay. That kind of thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to work. So on my way to work, my mom calls me back. She was like, what happened? Why did I ask of Mama all this while? I was like, hey, Mama is not feeling fine now. And I know that's why Daddy's there. She was like, but I've not really asked her the way I asked her about Mama. I was like, yeah, because I had a dream about Mama. And that was when my mom told me that my grandmother died. Who he truly was. So fast forward, we're still talking, but I wasn't actually seeing him as much. I stopped going to the apartment in Igondo. I stopped, even when he came back from the village, I stopped picking his calls. So he thought that it was because of the girl that, I spoke with that picked up his phone, that was why I was angry. So he was always texting me, calling me, oh, don't worry. I stopped, I put a post on everything. I told my dad to hold on. I put a post on everything. I was just giving him space and observing. That was the first time I truly started observing this person. And I remember first, that colleague of mine called me on the phone and she said, Laura, what exactly are you doing with your life? Why are you doing this with this person? That it's been in her heart to speak to her so long after she heard that conversation. She's like, she just has to say something. Why am I with this person? And I know I broke down on the phone and I was crying. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm with this person. Right? And I know that I have to end that, relationship with the guy. So during the period, we're trying to bury my grandmother. And he was now my fiancé was now pushing for all of a sudden, he starts pushing for the wedding. And this is somebody that has been showing lack of interest over time, right? So all of a sudden he starts pushing for the wedding. Oh, let's do it before the burial. I'm like, my dad says we can't do the wedding before the burial. We have to, although my dad didn't say that, but that was why I had to tell him, right? I was like, we have to wait for the burial before we do the wedding. The wedding again, we can do it. It's just small something. He has spoken to his kingsmen. He has spoken to, from nowhere his interest increased. I was like, this is somebody that has been disinterested. So how come now? So I kept on telling him that no, we can't do a wedding. My dad says we can't do a wedding until he buries his mom. It was just me that knew the covenant that I had with God at that time before I slept. So I was like, no, let's do the wedding after my grandmother's burial. Then he's like, why? It's not just palo something. I was like, no, let's do the wedding after my grandmother's burial. So during the period of my grandmother's burial, we're all trying to organize stuff. And my dad was like, we hope you know that your fiancé is going to contribute based on Igbo culture, right? Hope you know your fiancé is going to contribute in the burial and all that. So I tell my fiancé that this is it, or you have to contribute in a certain type of thing. So he dragged his feet. He's like, you pay on contribution. He did. At that point, I wasn't even having it, right? So he's like, and the only thing he can contribute is 50,000 naira. I'm like, contribute whatever you want to contribute. I wasn't saying it out loud, but I was done. I was like, contribute whatever you want to contribute. So he sent the money to my dad. The 50,000 naira, he sent it to my dad for the burial. And during the period of the burial, this December came, we're burying my grandmother January. He didn't come for the burial. He wasn't there. He wasn't available, nothing. So I know that we had a meeting after the burial. And my dad was like, okay, Laurel, so what do you want to do now? And I told my father that I'm not going to marry this guy. And my dad, you people would not understand the look of relief in my father's face when I told him eventually that I wasn't going to marry this person. And my dad looked at me, and my dad was crying. And my dad was crying. My dad broke down because he was like, and he goes, he didn't know where he got it wrong. He didn't know where he got it wrong, because when he was seeing me, like, he didn't know where he got it wrong. And he just wanted me to make my own decision by myself. Like, he didn't know where he got it wrong. And me and him were crying. I was like, no, I'm not going to marry the guy. I'm going to tell the guy that I'm not going to marry the guy. And all that. So we come back from the village. My fiancé starts calling my dad, like he's calling my dad, okay, how far this wedding, like kind of thing, right? And he was also calling me that period. I was not really taking his calls. He would come to the estate. I'll tell the estate people not to let him in because I just did not want to see him. I needed to literally just be myself, right? So I didn't want to see him. So I remember before my sister traveled to the UK, I remember my sister was like, do you know what? Tell him to come. Like, end it. There's no point, trying to not end it. I was like, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about, telling him to come or seeing him physically and all that. So before then, my dad calls me on the phone after, right? So my dad calls me on the phone, checking up on me. How am I? Because that period was really, really traumatizing for me. So I was really a shadow of myself that time. So my dad was always checking up on me. So he calls me on that fateful day. He calls me that time and he's like, oh, how am I? I said, I'm fine, and my sister was about to leave to the UK. So the thing, like, I was having so much pain because I'm like, oh, my sister has got to marry. My sister would leave me, and I'll be here, So my dad was like, okay, I should think about what I want for myself and let him know. I said, okay, no. My sister was like, I think I'm going to try to go to the UK and study. So my sister was like, why would you want to do UK when you can do Canada, right? Canada, I know then people really did not know anything about Canada. Canada was, easy to get your papers and whatnot as UK. Right, because UK is a little bit harder, but Canada there's like a pathway. Do you understand? Once you're done with school and whatnot. So I was like, okay. So my sister now, spoke to some of her friends. They gave us like an immigration lawyer. The guy, we spoke to the man. He told us his price. It was quite expensive. And I remember I called my dad and I told my dad, I was like, this is how much the lawyer is charging us, for the process, right? And my father said something to me on the phone. And my father said, Laura, whatever it takes for you to succeed, I'm going to pay. My father was like, whatever it takes for you to succeed, I'm going to pay. And you guys, I just have to pause. So after my dad reassured me that he was willing to pay, any amount of money in order for me to go ahead with my relocation dreams, I was actually very excited. But then there was one thing at the back of my head, and that was how I was going to, break it off with my fiancé at that time. And I know that at that point he was always calling. He wanted us to speak, but I didn't want to see him because I didn't want anything that would cloud my mind. So there was a very day that I saw a message from him. He sent me, because I had blocked him on WhatsApp. And so he sent me a message on my Instagram, like on my DM. He sent me a picture of him drinking a whole bottle of Red Label, and then in the image was like he was going to kill himself. And if he doesn't see me, he was going to kill himself. And I know I responded. I was like, "Where's your sister? Go to your sister's place and everything." And he's like, he doesn't want to see his sister. He wants to see me. Like he came to the estate where I was staying, but the estate people did not let him come in. So I'm not gonna lie, I actually went to Igondo because how do I stop? Like it didn't make any. I don't know. Like how do I stop loving somebody that I had loved for a very long time? It's not possible that all of a sudden I just wake up one morning and I don't feel the way I was feeling for him, because I am in love with my fiancé. So I went to Igondo and I was very, very frantic. I was like, okay, like I didn't want anything to happen to him. So I went to Igondo. I went to the apartment. Truly I saw him on the floor, like he had like the bottles close to him and all that, and he was crying. He was like, he doesn't want to lose me, that he was willing to tell me the whole truth, the reason why he has been distant from me before now, and why he has been acting the way he has been acting. So I cleaned him up and all that, and then that was when he told me that he has a daughter. He told me that he has an 11-year-old daughter for a South African lady the time he was in South Africa. And that was like they were trying to figure out the whole thing. I asked him to see, like I wanted to see the picture of his daughter, and I saw the picture of the daughter, and truly he looks like the daughter looks like him. Truly that was his daughter. And he was like, he didn't know how to tell me, he didn't know if I would welcome her and stuff like that. And I would not lie, seeing him actually brought back feelings. And I kind of felt a little bit of relief at that time, if I'm being very honest. I kind of felt a little bit of relief that, okay, because I felt like he was cheating on me. But then I was like, okay, if he had a child, I'm willing to be a stepmom. I was willing to be a stepmom. How I even remember this was because my friend called me yesterday and she was like, Laurel, you need to say this part of the story. And that was how I remembered. And because I know that I called her that time and I was like, oh, this is what's going on. He has a child. I honestly was considering being being the stepmom, because thinking about it now, I was 25 years old and I was considering being a stepmom with 11 years old. That's how in love I was with my fiancé. And we were together. I didn't go back home that day. We were together for about 2 to 3 days, and he wanted me to talk to my dad. He wanted me to tell my dad that I was proceeding with the wedding, and like we should, hurry up and do things quickly. However, I still didn't tell him about the whole Canada relocation, because for some reason there was just something holding me back from telling him, right? So I didn't tell him. So when I went back home, I told my sister that him and I are back together again, and I could see the look of disappointment in my sister's face. But I truly do not understand what went wrong with me that time. I don't understand. I truly do not understand. To be the final part of this story time, because it's really taking a toll on me. I never expected. I thought when I started the story time, I just thought it was just going to be a normal gist, but then now I'm actually very disappointed in myself that I let it go on for that long. So it was a situation whereby he knew that I was already checking out of the relationship. He knew that I was already seeing him for who he was, but then just because he was literally manipulating me. He was like, if I leave him, he's going to die. If I leave him, I cannot leave him. He came back to Nigeria solely because of me. There were times when he would call me, I won't pick his calls. He would send me multiple text messages. He would send me multiple DMs. I literally was even going through our DMs right now, and he would send me DMs, threatening to harm himself if I leave him. And I'm the only one for him, that I would never leave him, both physically and spiritually, until he says so. And that period I was very scared, because I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I have come this far with this person. How am I going to leave this person? I see a lot of people asking me how did you do it? How did you do it? I really don't know how I did it. But I know that I still didn't tell him about the process. But there was a time I was like, you know what, I'm going to tell him that I'm starting, the whole, relocation process. And I eventually go to Igondo to go and see him. This is maybe weeks after this, my last episode, right? I went to see him to just tell him that this was going on. My thought process then was, let's put a pause on the marriage. Let me try to do this stuff. When I come here, I'll send for that was I didn't want to lose him. So I was like, okay, let me go tell him that, right? So we were sitting down on the dining table. That was when I eventually told him that, I'm trying to do my relocation process. He asked me to what country. I told him I was trying to do it to Canada. And I could see the happiness and smile in his face. He's like, oh, wow, thank God. Oh, finally we are going to relocate, kind of thing. He was like, how am I going? I said, I'm going through studies. So I was like, that's good. That's why, he wants us to get married quickly, so that by the time I'm doing it, I'll also apply for him. And I was like, it's my dad that's doing it for me. He's like, that yeah, he can talk to my dad, he let his people go and meet my people, so that we'll get married and would, all him and I would do the process together. And I told him that I don't know if my father would, allow me to get married to you. And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know if I want to get married to you. And I remember how he screamed. And he's like, I should stop saying that kind of thing to him. That I cannot break up with him until he breaks up with me. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, I cannot break up with him until he breaks up with me. And he does not want to break up with me. He wants to get married to me. That all the while, I have been the one that wanted the marriage. And now that he wants it, now that he wants the marriage, he's not going to let me break up with him. And I told him that, and then he proceeds to say that it's because of money and stuff like that. And I was like, no, it's not because of money. It's there are plenty of things that has been going on with you and I. You get angry easily, you lose your temper over little things. There are plenty, my family don't like you, none of my siblings like you. It's very difficult for me to be in a relationship with you when nobody likes you, right? And I started telling him, the apartment that we're staying in, I furnished the apartment that we're staying in. Even when he came to see my dad, I was the one that bought, the drinks that he went to see my dad with. I was the one that's, I was the one that was literally taking care of him ever since he came to Nigeria. Even when I went to see his sister, I got things for his sister's children. I bought them provisions. I gave them money. When I went to see his sister, I've been the one invested in this marriage. And all of a sudden, I'm saying that I don't think we should get married right now. I wasn't even saying let us break up. I was saying I don't think we should get married right now because I want to pursue this. And he's like, there's no way he would let me leave. And he starts screaming and yelling and shouting in the apartment then. And I remember vividly that he tries. He literally holds me like this on my hand. He grabs me in my hand because I was trying to move away. Where do you think you're going? It was a heated thing. And I know, I just remember the kind of fear that I had then. I just remember it now. When things are going on, there's a way you put things at the back of your head that you don't remember. But I just remember the kind of fear that I had now because I started seeing a different person. And I was like, please, you're hurting my hand and stuff like that. And he's like, you're not going to break up with me until I tell you to, until he kept on repeating those words. And I was so scared. And I know, I pulled my hand and I ran to the room, and he ran to the room with me too. And I was trying to push the door, and he pushed me, and I was just begging him. I was like, please, 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 please. And then he's like, you're not going to leave me until I tell you so. And I know that I was crying, and I was telling him, I don't understand how him and I got to this place. And he goes, oh, you're a gold digger after everything I've done for you, after the sacrifices I've done for you. I was like, what did you do for me? I was like, what did you do for me? You've not done anything for me. You've not done anything for me. Ever since you came back, it was literally me doing every single thing. You haven't done anything for me. And then it's everything's done for me. And the both of us were screaming. I was like, I need to go. He was like, he loves me. I'm like, I don't love you anymore. I don't love you anymore. And the next thing I felt was a big hand on my face. And everything just became a blur. And I was just on the bed sobbing, crying. And I was scared that, he was going to keep on laying his hands on me. But thankfully, he did not. He did not continue. And he went to the other room. And I was in that room, bright and early in the morning. I left. And I never told anybody. I never told anybody. So when I went back home, I eventually blocked him, everywhere. My dad told me that he called him and he was insulting my dad on the phone, and he requested for the 50,000 naira that he gave for my grandmother's burial. He requested for my dad to give him back the money. Obviously, my dad gave me back the money. And he goes, that he knows that it's because of my family that my family has told him not to marry me, that we were all okay, that him and I were okay before I got my family involved, that he knows it's my family that told him not to marry me again, and stuff like that. And according to what my dad said he gave him a piece of his mind, that he would never watch anybody destroy his child. So everybody keeps on asking me, how did I go leave? That was how I left. It took a resounding slap to actually reset my brain. I don't think anybody should go through that. I blamed myself for a very long time, because shortly after he got married, I blamed myself for a very long time. I thought like maybe he was the person that I had missed out on. And I was very angry. I was very angry that he got married. And I remember that time I was always stalking him with like a Finsta account. And I was like, it could have been me. That's how sick I was. That's how utterly sick I was. That somebody would hurt me so much, and I would still want to be with the person. And that period was like one of the toughest and hardest period for me, because I had to stop wearing the ring that I bought for myself. I had to go and throw away the ring. I flushed it, and I had to stop wearing the ring. And a lot of people was asking me, like, they were asking me then, what happened? And I couldn't say anything. It was just like my close friends that knew. And at that time, I didn't know that God was actually saving me. Because I thought getting married to that guy was going to be like the best thing that happened to me in my life. I was 25 years old. Everybody around me was getting married. All my friends were getting married. My closest friend then was like, I think why am I crying so hard? I don't know why I'm crying so hard, you guys. My closest friend, she had her child, At that time, it's different from now. It's really different from now. How it was then was different from now. There was a structure to life. When you're done with school, you get married. That was like what I thought. That's what I thought that was then, you get married. So, and because of the kind of job I was doing, and I was mostly involved with artisans, people don't really respect, a woman that was not married in Nigerian society. There was no respect. Sometimes when I go to go and get stuff like fabrics, or when I employ tailors, there's this, there's a way they would do, like they would treat you when they know that there's no man by your side. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, when I get married to this person, maybe I'll be important in society. Maybe they would respect me more. And that was the reason why that's the reason why I thought like marrying him would have been the best thing that had happened to my life. But God had other plans, and I'm grateful, because I don't wish anybody to endure what I endured. Trust me, I'm actually even refining it. I'm refining it because for my own sake. And that's why I'm always telling people, nobody will love you like how you will love yourself. No man, no woman, nobody will love you like how you will love yourself. And it taught me how to be strong by myself. It taught me how to love my own company, love the woman that I am. When I came to this country, you guys, I didn't have money. I didn't have anything when I came here. But I worked so hard to be where I am today. And everything that was in my mind was, I'm not going to return to be that naive girl that I was when I was in Nigeria, or the pushover. I was going to be a very great person, like what my grandmother said to me. And every time I wake up in the morning, I owe it to myself to be a great person. I no longer tolerate nonsense. I spot nonsense from a mile away.
Guys, so I'm going to add my own 2 cents to this video. I'm not going to make it long, so please stay with me. Please, as a young lady watching this, you have to have high amount of self-love. You have to love yourself. You have to truly know what you want in life and know what you don't want in life. It's not okay just knowing what you want in life. Know the life you don't want. Like, imagine it. Like, imagine the life you want, then imagine the life that you don't want, then do everything possible to work towards the life that you want. Because if you don't work towards the life that you want, you end up with the life that you don't want. So that, let the life that you don't want be a constant reminder playing in your head on how you will end up if you do not work towards it. Same with relationships, same with friendship. Know the type of relationship you want. You, everything that you want exists in this world. Everything that you want exists in this world. So don't let anybody come and tell you that, oh, you're not being realistic. Just know the kind of things you cannot accept. I'm not saying you won't, there won't be times that you won't compromise, because people cannot be 100% perfect. Same way you can't be perfect, you might not be perfect to your partner. You can't even be perfect to your partner, because they will have some excesses of you that they will tolerate. Same way you have to have, it's not everything about your partner that will be 100%. There are some things that you will have to compromise, but know the things that are not compromisable. Like, there are things that you will not tolerate. Please, a man that is telling you to contribute inside the house that you guys have not, inside the house that you guys rented, or be the house in rented, telling you to leave your job that is closer, like you're living in Ikeja, closer to your job, that you should come to a place far away from your job. It doesn't even consider the stress on you. Lack of consideration is lack of love. Money you're contributing financially inside the house, and you're not married to him, and he call himself traditional man. He's a traditional Igbo man. Come on, the math is not mathing. So there's a lot of ladies out here that are living this life, and some might not even come to the camera and say what they have done for love, or some that are even doing it for love. A lot of women, don't be pressured by social media, a lot of women are financing their man. They will come and buy themselves gifts, and they will come and tell you that their man bought it for them. Some women are actually living that life, while some are faking it. So it's not something you should be pressured of. But please know who you are, know what you want in life, know what you tolerate in relationship, know what you won't tolerate in relationship, and stick by it, please. God, please try and love yourself as a lady growing up. Please love yourself as a young man watching this, as a young woman watching this. Try to actually love yourself. It's not okay, just okay by your parents loved you. Your parents can still love you and still not love yourself. There are a lot of ways to love yourself. So if you're constantly belittling yourself in your thoughts, that's a sign that you do not like yourself. Not to talk of love yourself. If you're constantly thinking other people are better than you, like constantly, you are never better than anybody, just always belittling yourself, you do not like yourself. Please try and love yourself, so that you can't find somebody that will like you if you don't really like yourself. You're just gonna end up, in fact, it will be tiring. Imagine you ending up with a partner that doesn't like themselves. Like, it's your job to like yourself. Me, like this, I like myself. You do not like yourself, but because we are together, I now have to show you that I like me liking you will make you like yourself. That's extra work you're giving me, extra shifts. Please, nobody has the time. It will turn to resentment over the time. Please, let's try to love ourselves and have high self-worth as well. Thank you very much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Folashade Adex again, the ever beautiful, smart, talented, creative girl that you know. Thank you.